Hi, my amazing tribe. I'm so grateful for all of your messages and beautiful comments on my business wall and the support and the encouragement. I'm just so grateful. I really am. I just thought I'd share that I'm currently taking part in a conference over the next 2 days, the Osmumpreneur Awards. I was nominated and I'm a finalist, which is really exciting. So today I was there from 8 o'clock in the morning until I think about 5, and that's a really long day for me. Tonight there was a cocktail party and I had to make a wise choice for myself and skip out on the cocktail party. Now that's not because I don't like socializing. I love socializing. I know, breaks one of those myths around people on the spectrum, doesn't it? I love socializing, but it exhausts me. It exhausts me because we do a lot of talking about sensory input for people on the spectrum, what we see, hear, feel, taste, smell. But we don't talk about how receptive, particularly females on the spectrum, are to other people's energy. So being around 249 other women today was energizing. It was fulfilling. I loved it. I loved connecting with other women. But the other side of that for me was that this is the first time I've had quiet all day, been alone all day. My ears are ringing. My brain is going at 1,000,000 miles an hour because, it's processing everything that's happened. So I will go back over conversations I've had, things that happened, things I said, and I don't have a defense against that. No control over my brain doing that. It's just how I process. And I'll probably do that for the rest of the night. So I can feel a migraine coming on. I'll need to go home and have some Nurofen. My vision is affected. My eyes are stinging and I'm just so tired, so tired. And it just made me think about children at school and how people on the spectrum are so misunderstood in this regard. Often I think people think that we just don't want to be around other people. And it's not for the reasons always that people assume. It's not that we don't want to be connected with others. It's that it takes so much out of us because we have a limited amount of energy, unlike non-autistics. And for me today, I had to sit at a table for a long period of time, a number of hours. And I was just sitting there recognizing how difficult that was for me because I really needed to get up and have a movement break. I start to zone out very quickly. I can't focus. I become distracted and I get really hypersensitive to everything that's going on, like all the noises and things like that. What was really awesome is that we got these beautiful gift bags and there was a little squishy ball in there so I could sit at the table squishing the squishy ball. That really helped center me again. And lining up for lunch outside, because it was freezing, I got to jump around a lot and that looked like I was trying to warm up my body, but it was me regulating, just regulating. And regulating is when our body is attempting to bring us back into a state of equilibrium. So with people on the spectrum, because the cognitive side of things, the way our thinking and our processing can sometimes lag when there's a lot thrown at us. So our body takes over. Our body's really, really intelligent. And for me personally, my thoughts and my feelings are not separate. So I consider myself to be having a whole being experience, I suppose. So my body's really intelligent and it will take over and it'll just start moving. And that's what stimming is. Our bodies just start moving because it recognises that its job is to keep us in balance. Its job is to keep us alive. So my body will start moving. And lucky for me, I'm a female on the spectrum, and the social pressures put on me are very different, because an adult male would not be able to skip around while waiting for lunch, because socially that would probably be unacceptable. Sadly, but this is the kind of social conditioning we're living with. So I needed movement breaks. Now, I'm thinking about little people at school. You know, like I said, I really love socialising, and one of my girls needs a lot of time off school, and she has shared with me that she loves school. She's got a great group of friends. She really enjoys going to school, but she burns out, and I totally get that, because the amount of energy it takes for us to connect with other people, because when we connect with other people, we really connect. We're really in there, engaged. And when I'm hearing a story that someone's telling me, I'm living it. I'm having a full body experience. I'm living every word I hear. And I don't have a defense against that either. That's part of my autism. So that's exhausting. So I'm skipping out on the cocktail party tonight for self-care. Like I said, I'll go home and have Nurofen, and I'll watch TV, or go to bed, or have a bath, or do something that refills my cup, regulates me. I know that a lot of professionals, and I know that a lot of social skills programs, and I know that a lot of advice given to parents of kids on the spectrum is, well, this is real life, and life is hard, and school, you just got to do it. So just encourage them to go, just take them. And look, I can't tell any other parent how to parent, because I don't even get it right all the time. But I encourage my families to tune into their children, and if you think your child needs a rest, I'd strongly encourage you to give it to them. Because the difference between non-autistic children and autistic children is that the harder we push, the more pressure we put on, the more we guilt trip them, the more we talk to them about something that they're struggling to do. The reality is they're already struggling, so putting pressure on them about it makes it worse, and we're so prone to being traumatized. And I know a lot of people will think that that's really dramatic, but it's very real. Children, school, trauma, autism, very, very common. You could just about find someone's story every single day of the week on social media somewhere where they've persisted and challenged their children and encouraged them, and it's really backfired. Now, that won't apply to every child, obviously. And people ask me, what do we do about this? And I acknowledge that it's really hard to parent children on the spectrum because of the pressure that we feel from extended family and friends. And some of our team, some of our therapists. But, you know, what I live by is to back off. If a child on the spectrum is struggling, more often than not, they have a really hard time articulating or verbally expressing what their struggle is exactly. But I'm going to say, if they need a break, they really need a break. Because if there's anything that works really well in our family, and with many of the families I've worked with, is that when we regroup, we give space to a child, We listen, we respect their no, we respect that they need a break. They are so much more likely to listen to what you've got to say and to consider your input and to do things on your terms when they know that they can trust you. And how our children develop trust in us is that we respect their rights and their freedom. And if they say they can't do something today, then I say it's okay to listen to that. Because we keep comparing our autistic children to non-autistic children, and they're not. They're not non-autistic children. They're never going to be non-autistic children. As hard as they might work in therapy, as much as they might appear not to be autistic, they're always going to be autistic. That doesn't mean they won't be successful. It doesn't mean they'll never cope in the real world. It means that we need to tune into their support needs. How do we support our children? And the first step is to listen to them, listen to what they need, because more often than not, they are very wise about what they need and very tuned in to what their bodies need. And if they need rest, God, they just need rest. They really do. So I wanted to talk about that because I wanted to share my own experience. And aside from the event that I'm participating in at the moment and how the constant input is affecting me, I'm really enjoying it and really loving it. But my experience at school was that my mum worked and I would take weeks off school at a time. And nobody knew because I just couldn't get there. And I loved my friends and I had a great time and school was not bad for me. But I'd stay home for weeks in my pajamas, eating bad food, watching TV or sleeping. And I did a lot of self-hating around that. What the hell's wrong with me? This doesn't make any sense. Analysing why I would be living this way. If I like school, why can't I just go? Because people on the autism spectrum need a lot of downtime. We need a lot of time to ourselves. And if that means that your child has a day off school where they sleep, where they read a book, where they do some gaming, yep, controversial, horrible thing to say, but we need to let them invest time into doing things that fill their cup. Because if we keep putting pressure on them to be someone they're not, or to cope with things that they already feel challenged by, it's not going to help them. It doesn't help. It backfires and it makes life harder and it makes them feel like they can't trust us. And I know we're up against a lot. I know we're up against expert advice and other parents and schools and extended family. I know that. That's why it's important to work on our own stuff and develop courage so that we can advocate for our children. Anyway, I'm totally overstimulated. As much as I'm exhausted, my brain's just ticking over at 1,000,000 miles an hour. And I need to go home. Thanks for listening. If you stuck through all this time, you're amazing.